Hello, and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. My guest today is Carolyn Harris. How to introduce Carolyn is something of a conundrum. The obvious one is as Member of Parliament. You see, when I asked her what she would like her title to be for the sake of this podcast, I was expecting something like MP, or at least something parliamentary. But she said, anything you like. So yes, she is Member of Parliament for Swansea East in the UK. She is also the menopause revolutionary. Without doubt, a passionate and powerful woman, she is someone who sees a problem, sets her mind to solving it, and works until it's done. Having spoken to her, she's also a lovely human being. Straight talking, open, and funny. We arranged to talk a few weeks in advance, but on the day we met, Russia launched a full-scale invasion on the Ukraine, and Carolyn was heading straight into London for obvious reasons. And yet she still kept her appointment with me, which is further proof that she is a woman of her word, and I feel deeply honoured. So I shall let her do the talking and introduce her simply as menopause royalty. Carolyn, it is lovely to meet you. I've been very excited about this.
And you.
Well, thank you. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, work, family?
Okay, about me. How far back do you want me to go?
As far back as you wish.
Okay, so I left school at 16, no qualifications, wanted to be a medical doctor, but my teachers in school, my careers teachers were saying to me things like, just be realistic about this. So I sort of grew up with a bit of an imposter syndrome, if you like. I always thought that there were always other people who should be doing the things I was doing and the jobs I was doing and all those kinds of things. So there was always someone better and more equipped and better at doing it than me. So that was sort of how I grew up. By the time I was 20, I'd had Martin. In 1981, I had Martin. And then in 1985, I had Stuart, and everything was going along, tickety-boo. I was a barmaid, I was a dinner lady. And then in 1989, my world crashed around me and we lost Martin in a road accident, completely unexpected. Obviously, it was an accident and it took a long time to get our head around that, about how, it was just, you never get your head around it, but it took a long time for us to come to terms with that grief. So I probably spent about 2 years, I suppose other people would say wallowing, I would say in a really dark place. And then in 1994, I decided I was going to try and do something with my life, and I ended up going back to university as a mature student and doing a social history, social policy degree, because I knew the social history was my passion. The social policy was going to get me a job, basically. And then I sort of I graduated in 98, got a job working with disaffected youth. Everything was plodding along nicely. And then in 2001, discovered I was pregnant again at 40 and had Tom. That was a massive surprise, but it was literally, we said it was our gift from God. So had Tom, and then within 2 years was pregnant again, and I had an ectopic pregnancy. So from then until 2010, I had a really bad gynecological things. Periods were really, up in the air and whatever. And long story short, ended up having 6 months of bleeding in 2010, doing nothing about it, eventually finding out I had massive fibroids, had them removed, went back into what I thought was a depression when I came out of having the fibroids, came out of hospital, was really, really, really depressed, went to my doctor, told my doctor I was depressed. And when I lost Martin, I decided that I wouldn't take any antidepressants, that I was going to face this and I was going to get through life without any kind of help. So by the time 2010 came and I had that operation and I started to have the depression, I convinced myself that because I'd never really stopped to take stock of my grief, because I'd never actually allowed myself that time to sit still and assess the situation, once I'd come out of that really black place, that this was my time to be having my grief or my depression. And I went on antidepressants. So I can't say that during my time on antidepressants, I didn't do anything. And I can't say that I haven't lived the best life I could in the last 10 years, because during the last 12 years, I've ended up being elected as a member of parliament and having some relative success with the children's funeral funds and with my gambling reforms and other things. And I've really enjoyed that experience. And I'm really grateful to have had that experience. What I realise now, retrospectively, is I probably would have enjoyed it more and maybe achieved more if I'd known then what I know now, which was that I was being on the menopause and that I've taken HRT now and I'm cutting back on my antidepressants. And it's the little things, isn't it? It's like not wanting to go out socialising when I'm home because I'm too bloody tired, because I'm in London all week and I come home and I think, well, I may have to go to functions in work. So when I come home and my husband says, oh, should we go for a meal or should we go for a drink? And I go, no, I can't be asked, It's like where my husband and my son would say to me, oh, we haven't been on holidays for a few years. I would come up with the excuses of, oh, no, I can't fly anymore. I don't like the thought of flying. Oh, no, I don't want to fly. Oh, no, I'm away all week. I don't want to be away when I'm home. But the truth of it was I was too tired to think about getting the family ready to go on holidays, going on holidays, having to do things, go up and go out when you're on holidays, coming back and having to clean up the debris after a holiday, because as a mother and a wife, it was me who did the washing and the ironing and the preparation. And I am a bit of a control freak, so I'm the one who's got to book it, carry the passports, make sure that the hotel is booked properly. So the thought of all that was just mind blowing. So by the time I started talking about menopause in the House of Commons, which was about 2016, then I was probably well and truly in the throes of it and not realizing that all the things that I was talking about other women experiencing and all the things I was talking about we needed to do for these women, I was one of those women. And I don't know whether I was in denial, which had been a bit stupid given my age and given the fact I'd not had a period for a few years. Or did I think that I was out the other side of it? I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I just never made the connection between what I was asking for other women, what I was talking about, and me. And then all of a sudden, when I was talking to women and they were saying about they had this and they had that, and I thinking, well, I got that. And then I realised, my God, I'm on the menopause. I'm still going through the menopause. But maybe if I'd taken HRT then, we would have been where we are now a lot sooner, because I do think that what we have achieved certainly over the last year, is really brought the menopause into focus. And, with the likes of Davina McCall and Kate Muir and Mariella Frostrop and Penny Lancaster and Gabby Logan, all people now who I actually am in contact with on a regular basis, which is, a bit awesome for me. But I'm doing a breakfast meeting with Penny on Tuesday. It's all, I can't believe I know these people now. And I've got their phone numbers and they phone me up and ask me things, The producer from the Lorraine programme contacts me regularly and thinks, do you think we should do this? Do you think we should do that? And I do think that maybe, I have helped to get that onto the agenda. And I'm quite proud of that. But maybe if I'd realised myself earlier, we would have been here a lot sooner and a lot further down the line. So that's the potted history of what I was, what I've done, where I am and where I'm hoping to go, which is to get this on a global recognised stage and everyone in the world doing something about the menopause, not in a funny, aha, isn't this a joke kind of way, not in a, I can't believe that we have to do these things or women should just get on with it, not because people are not prepared to make changes so that women feel more included and that we are actually a society which does not think of menopause as a special thing. It is a natural, completely normal, everyday occurrence for 51% of the population who are experiencing it, 100% of the population who are living with someone experiencing it or care for someone experiencing it, and that they talk about it, they're open about it, and that society just does things as a matter of norm to accommodate it.
I think that's the ideal wish and what so many of us have. You saying that you were trying to help other women first and it took a little bit of time for you to realise that it was happening to you is a very common situation where you can look outside, but having enough time to look inwards is something else. And when you come to that realisation, once it is normalised, life will be a lot easier. I feel that will come from education, and you are heading up the UK Menopause Task Force, which is seeking to address education. So we're starting with educating the upcoming doctors in medical school. It's now on the curriculum in schools. How else do we educate the greater population?
I think it's about talking and communication, isn't it? And I think it was on this morning today. I mean, Lorraine was on there with Maria Caulfield today, talking about it. I just despair slightly that we still have it as an item on a program and we don't have it as the normal bit of the program, So there are things that we should be saying. And actually, really funny story, but I went shopping with my husband last Saturday morning. He informed me there was a sale on in my favourite shop, and he never comes shopping with me. And he said, come on, I'll come to town with you. So we went to town, we decided to have lunch, and we went into the shop, and I'm like, oh, I'm loving this, 50% off everything. So I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying that. And I passed a comment about I wanted something to go with something, and some woman at the back commented at the back of the shop because they'd recognised me, and then they crowded round and they were talking about vaginal dryness in the middle of the shop. But I thought that was brilliant because that was like, this is what I wanted. I wanted women to say to other women, and what it was, one of the women had actually just started using pessaries for the vaginal dryness and said that, she'd been in agony with infections, and now, she was starting to feel normal again. But there was a time we'd never have done that. We would never have had that conversation in a shop with women I didn't know, but they knew me. There must have been about 8 of us having this conversation, to which my husband said, oh, I'm going outside. And then I was telling them about something that we're going to be doing locally around women getting together. But what I want is, I suppose it's a bit like a safe space, but it needn't be that. It needn't be badged as anything. It's normal. I think that's what I want, is it to be just normal. So a woman would be able to say, I'm not coming in today. She hasn't going to say, I'm not coming into work today because I got the flushes or because I've got a vaginal dryness problem, or because it's just like, and I don't want to say that we make special circumstances or we make special allowances, because we don't need special allowances. We just need a bit of understanding that allows us to get through the worst of those years. Because once you get on HRT, if you choose to do that, or once you are in control of it and you understand what's happening to your body and you do whatever is best for you to make it more bearable, it is better. But I worry about the women who, whether it's socially or economically, will never come to that realization that what they are experiencing, every other woman will or has or is experiencing. I want the women who are working in low paid jobs, who haven't got the time for anything except for earning the money and looking after the family. I want them to realise that they need to find that space where they can go and see the doctor, try to get some support. They can talk to their friends. They can go to a coffee morning and share their innermost, what they think of as secrets, because they're going to be absolutely astounded how many women around them are experiencing exactly the same thing. And it's about them not making choices, because the choice should be that everything's available to them. So they just need to decide which of those choices is best for them. I can't emphasize enough how I'm really anxious as this isn't a special circumstance created for menopausal women, because we don't need that. We've been on this earth since day one. This has happened to us since day one. It's 2022. How can this be a special thing? This is a normal thing. So I just want it all normalised, and women feel that they can talk to men, talk to anyone. Because a lot of men are like absolutely devastated at the consequences of the menopause on their wives and their relationships. And relationships break up and women leave work and employers are left thinking, wow, I've had it for all these years. What's happened? If we just treated it as something which is normal, then we would all be doing these things to make sure we keep them in work, keep them in relationships, keep them, keep women feeling. Women are wonderful. To keep us wonderful, it takes so little thought to keep us wonderful.
I couldn't agree more. And the fact that it is beyond women, it affects everybody in the workplace, at home, all over the world, and from various ages, because it's not just obviously the natural menopause. There can be post-hysterectomy or post-cancer diagnosis and chemotherapy that also needs addressing. So getting everybody on board to understand that this is just part of the timeline and to care for it is going to be the challenge. Is that essentially what the Menopause Task Force is set up to do? And how are you going to go about that process?
The Menopause Task Force, if I'm perfectly honest, was a bit of an afterthought on the bill. When we put the bill through, wanted to get HRT free for women in England, we put on the task force as I think we thought we're never going to get this, but we'll put it on in the hope that they will do something about it, and they really bought into that. The government were really receptive to that. So I co-chaired it with Maria Cofield. So that task force is set up to look at all aspects of everyday life, policy, government departments, how the government departments right across Whitehall can introduce things that will be in promotion of the menopause and and promoting how we all treat the menopause, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside that, we started the APPG. And the APPG has done a series of inquiries, and I think the way that it'll work is that the APPG will do the legwork, if you like, and we will produce the reports that will go to the task force, and then that will lead us to get the people in to talk to us who we need to talk to about making the changes. It's going to be little things. Like I just went on a visit to the local job centre a fortnight ago, and we were having a conversation about they've got an upcoming jobs fair. So I just asked the question, so are there many women of a certain age bracket who are now becoming benefit dependents or reducing hours or leaving work? And they then thought, yes, there are. So, we are going to talk together about what we can actually convince, well, they will do as a pilot, and we can convince the DWP as a wider organisation to actually make little tweaks in how they work with employers to encourage women to stay in work or to go back into work. And if we start from the starting point that menopause is a priority, therefore we need to make sure that everything that workplace is offering helps women. And you know what I mean, Hattie. It's going to be simple things like making sure that there are always fans there, whether they're going to ask for a fan, making sure that the uniform is actually compliant, it's comfortable and it can breathe, and that the woman haven't just got one uniform, she's got several uniforms. It's about if you can work from home, be a little bit more flexible and allow women to work from home. If the job means you have to be in work, well then make sure that environment is as pleasant and comfortable for that woman as is possible. And there isn't a one size fits all work policy. There isn't. And again, it's about education, and it's about educating employers to think, how can I best serve the needs of the women in my workforce? Well, the best thing you can do is to talk to the women in your workforce and say to them, what do you need to make you feel more included and more comfortable by being here? And that's how we will achieve across the board changes in making things more comfortable for women in every avenue. Get men understanding why women maybe don't want sex as often, or if at all, because of the lack of libido. Men need to understand that's not because they've gone off them, but because it is a symptom of losing testosterone. I would love to see testosterone being available on prescription. I've gone on it, but I'm paying privately because I'm on the female version. But there is a male version available. So let's educate doctors, pharmacists, women's health nurses that if they can't prescribe the female version because it's not available, then work with women and prescribe the male testosterone, but give them a reason or give them a better idea of what they should do, how they should use it, and what the effects of it are. The education, right from teaching kids what it means to teaching medical professors what it means. It's right across the board. It needs to be done.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think a lot of us at the moment who are going through menopause or perimenopause are educating our kids just by having conversations and trying to bring it into all the circles of our friends and colleagues. We still meet with a few barriers because of traditional historic taboos. What is one tip that you would give to women entering menopause, particularly on the lower end of the income scale, to take care of themselves?
I think they have to go and seek medical support and not be put off by a doctor telling them it's something you'll get over, it's something that will go away. Go and talk to your sisters or your mother. Or it be insistent. And if you're not satisfied with what that doctor is saying, even if it's someone you absolutely love and you've gone to them for years and you think they're the best thing since sliced bread, they may not personally understand the menopause. Ask for a second opinion, or even ask to see somebody in the practice who has got, even if it's the nurse who has got experience in dealing with it. And my dream is that if not every surgery, every cluster, every group of GP surgeries would either have a pharmacist or a nurse or a doctor who has, if not an in-depth knowledge of the menopause, enough of a knowledge to be able to prescribe and signpost appropriately, not dismiss women as you'll get over it. It happens to all women. It's something that frustrates me. And that is the biggest issue whenever I go anywhere, including shopping on a Saturday morning in my favourite shop where there's 50% off. The one common denominator with the women who come on to me is, my doctor told me to do this. My doctor said, oh, you'll get over it. My doctor said, oh, it's not really that bad. It's the complete dismissal of these women. And these are the women who cannot go anywhere else. They can't afford to go privately. They can't afford to go to hot yoga, or they can't afford to go to a fitness class to actually do something which will help them relieve the symptoms. They have got work and they've got home. We really owe them a debt. They've carried this burden for as long as we have, but they will be carrying it for a lot longer. If we, as the enlightened, or maybe we are economically fortunate, I don't know. But all I know is if I wasn't in this job, I wouldn't be able to afford to go private. And my sisters I'm an only child. When I say my sisters, I mean my friends from school, my friends from, as I've been going through adulthood, none of them are on HRT. None of them have ever gone private. They've all gone to their doctors at different times and they've all been told the same thing. You'll get over it. So I'm saying to them, you need this, you need this. And they go back to the doctors and hopefully one by one, because I keep saying to them, tell them if they don't give it to you now, I'm coming with you on your next appointment. No, but I can't be the stick to beat people with. I want to be the catalyst to change.
You are, without shadow of a doubt. Having the Gina HRT product available over the counter is phenomenal. Huge
if you
change.
Can afford it.
But you've already made huge reductions in the cost of prescriptions as well.
Yeah, and that hasn't come in yet, which is frustrating, but that will happen. It's free in Wales, but it's testosterone. Get in the female version. If we get that and we get it affordable, I can't, Hetty, I get really upset that there are women who cannot afford to be treated. That is a massive worry for me. Because they can't afford to go private. They can't afford to buy the Gina over the counter. They don't even know it exists. They don't even know what's wrong with them. It's back to education. It may be too late for some women, but we can't allow the generation behind us to not have the knowledge that we didn't have. Because my mother never talked to me about it. None of my mother's sisters talked to me. I talk to everybody about it. Because even my son, because I think you need to know what's facing you. And that's the only way we will make the change, is everybody understands it. If you said to someone, I've got the flu, well, we didn't know what the flu was called back in the day. We didn't have a name for it. Cancer, we called it consumption back in the day. There's things that have been with us all the time that have never had a name, but if you said to them now, oh, so-and-so got glandular fever, they'd all know. They'd all know what it is. If you said to someone, somebody's been diagnosed as diabetic, they would understand that. Diabetes is a lack of a hormone, insulin. You wouldn't stop taking insulin, or you wouldn't deny somebody insulin because you didn't trust it, you didn't know enough about it, it was something you're going to get over. But why are we doing this to women? Why are we dismissing what is a natural part of their life?
Now that you have brought menopause into the spotlight in government and with the people in your favourite shop that has 50% off, I love that. You're able to talk about it to anybody really freely, or they will approach you if you don't approach them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Before that, did anybody discuss it?
No.
Had anyone even heard of perimenopause?
No. None. I can honestly say I can remember having conversations with friends, and I can remember a few of them saying, oh, I'm going to have to pack in work. I can't do this anymore. I know getting in and being in work by 7:00 and my knees are aching and I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I've had other people saying, this symptom and that symptom. Some have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Some have thought they had early onset dementia. They've all come back to me. Well, not just me, but they've all come, we've all spoke at some point about some symptom, about something which had led them to the doctor, depression, insomnia, and none of them have ever been diagnosed with menopause, prescribed for the menopause, treated for the menopause, or even if suggested as the menopause. Now I'm going round them one by one and I'm saying, that's not fibromyalgia. That's the menopause. So far, I've been right every time. Every time I've said, have you got this? Have you got that? Yeah. And every time I go through that tick box, I say, you go back and you tell your GP, this is not what you were suggesting. This is menopause.
This is happening across the board, and so many women leaving the workplace.
Yeah.
And like you say, women are wonderful, and we need to be looked after and kept in the workforce should we choose to or need to be working. So we need it. Do you know what? It all just comes straight back down to education.
I think the good thing about all this is that we seem to have raised an awareness, not just in this country, but across the world now. So I'm giving some thought to that, because I've been contacted by so many different countries saying, oh, you're now so far ahead of us. I don't think we are. I think we are pretty woeful. So if other countries think we are doing well, then the little bit ahead that we may be, then we should be sharing that. So I'm trying to find a way of getting that message out globally. I know that a Japanese politician has now started their own menopause revolution. And I think, well, let's take this globally then. Let's talk to politicians in as many countries as we possibly can and say, this is what we're doing here. Do you want to share this? Do you want to share this platform? Do you want to share best practice? Do you want to share the message? And so AI could be going global, which terrifies some people, but there we are.
Oh no,
My
I think
shop
it's wonderful.
takes 50% off. I'll do a booming trade if I'm going global, because I'll need new clothes.
Count me in on every step of the way. I get excited when I look at my stats and there's somebody in Russia and somebody in Norway. And yes, it will all go global and just be a normal part of life. Carolyn, is there anything you would like to add?
I don't want women to suffer in silence. I don't want women to think, well, this is them, not me, because I can guarantee you it is you. There's no woman out there who doesn't deserve somebody to talk to, even if it means you're going to email me and I'll find someone for her to talk to. But we have to be there for each other. I mean, if we don't help each other, then nobody's going to help us. We can change this world. We can change the menopause message. It is a revolution. And for the menopause revolution needs to go on and roll on and last forever. And like I said in the House of Commons chamber, long live the revolution. We will revolutionise how we think and everything about menopause.
Oh, too right we will. Thank you so much for your time.
Lovely to speak to you.
Lovely to speak to you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You can keep up to date with Carolyn on her website, carolynharris.org.uk, and follow her on Instagram at carolynharrismp. Follow us on the podcast apps so you never miss an episode, and tell everyone you know about Real Menopause Talk. Spreading the word is the way to make change. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.